Where's Paris not around?
Go ahead. You good?
All right. Okay. There is muster in tonight's daf, so Mamela will be to that way. For Nedarim, this is a massive daf, lengthwise, but it's a lot of agadata, so it should go pretty easy. So, okay, the neder min dagan, right? If somebody makes a neder from dagan is not fish. Dagan literally means grain. Yeah. So neder min dagan assur. Also, b'pula mitzri yavik. If he makes the neder from dagan, which is grain really, but it's also assur with beans from Mitzrayim that are dry, meaning that's included in grain. Divrei meir, that's a meir also. I'm assuming the form of what the Gemara calls kidney is something else. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you have a Mishna that says a bean is included in grains. The last Mishna says there were no chidush.
I think we said previously that it depends if it's wet or dry. If it's dry, it's not considered a grain. It's only if it's wet. It wasn't before. It was included in a different neder. It's only if it's included in I want to say vegetables or something like that. Here, it's only because it's dry. It's considered a grain.
A grain, probably.
Yeah,
right.
no, I'm asking.
Because it's ground up. You're saying because it grinds up. That's why.
The Ran doesn't say it that way, or not the Ran, but they bring down. It's not because of that. It's because of how smooth it was piled up. Similar to grain.
Right, well, that's because that's the end of the Mishnah. That's the end of the Mishnah. Let's get to the end of the Mishnah. So anyway, Chacham say, no, the Chacham say it's only the 5 minutes. The meir, somebody makes the neder from tvua, he's only assur from chamesh samin, and that's it. Right? It's the difference here. Can you hear me with the train, or is that blocking the? Fine.
Just made you a little quieter.
Okay. Yeah. So hanoider min tvua ene assur ela mechamesh samin. Somebody who makes the neder from tvua, and not dagan, tvua, then Meir says that he's taka only the chamesh samin. Aval hanoider min dagan assur b'chol. But if you make a neder from dagan, it's also with everything. So again, it's totally in what he says. Does he say the word tvua? Then it's only the 5 grains. If it's what are the 5 grains again? Wheat, barley, oat,
rye, oats, and spelt.
Spelt, that's it. Spelt. There you go. I should know spelt, right? Spelt is in style. Yeah. So, but I know them in a dagan. But if he says dagan, assur b'chol, umutter b'peiros ha'ilon v'yerek. But then he's assur with dagan, but he's mutter with fruits and vegetables. Why? Because fruits and vegetables don't normally get piled up. Right? Meaning that's the way the Rashi says it. Things that normally get piled when he says tvua or dagan, he's talking about things that you put into a silo. Fruits and vegetables you don't usually put into a silo. Fine. So
what happens here to the old Machlokes with millet and rice?
Rice, the Gemara is gonna discuss rice. Millet, I don't know. The Gemara is gonna discuss rice. All right, so we'll see. So the Gemara says, "L'meimra the dagan called the midgan mashma." Are you saying that dagan means anything that you pile up? Meaning the word dagan is tight says to pile up or to gather. So you're saying that the word dagan refers to anything that gets piled up. So most of Rabbi Yosef had a kasha. Right. So there was the story. I don't know if it was a story, but Hizkiah HaMelech, when people the tzibur started not keeping trumas and maises properly. So he made a takana. I don't know, was it a takana? With gzeira, I don't know what it was exactly. That everybody has to start bringing all sorts of things to the Beis Hamikdash, right? And the tzibur accepted it. So that's what this pasuk is. So Matzah Rabbi Yosef, ukaparat hadavar, hirbu b'nei Yisrael, meaning when the davar went out, when the gezerah went out, hirbu b'nei Yisrael, racist dagan tirosh v'yitzar, right? They took their dagan, which we'll see how to type. That tirosh is the wine, and yitzar is the oil. The whole tfuah sada l'roiv, and all sorts of grains from the l'roiv, meaning tons of it. Now it says here in the pasuk dagan and tfuah. Dagan called the midgan mashman. If you're saying that dagan refers to anything that gets piled up, my kaparat hadavar hirbu, right? That they gave a lot. What's the pshat in that? Right? Meaning it should all have been included in dagan, right? So now, as to why you're saying all these different types of terminologies, the dagan is referring to everything that gets piled up. No, what that pasuk is coming to tell you, that they started bringing trumas and mitris even on peiros of Elon and peiros yerek, which are not chayiv in trumas and mitris. Minat Torah, they're not chayiv in trumas and mitris. Right? So that's how we answer it. Okay, fine.
How does he know that the word hirbu means in the number of minim, the number of types of grain or whatever? Why can't it mean in volume?
In volume?
Yeah, they brought more than they were mechuyev to, not more types of food than they were mechuyev to.
I don't know, because that's what the pasuk seems to be. I don't know that.
Hirbu b'nei Yisrael in all of them.
You mean they just gave more of the same thing?
Isn't Hebrew going on the word davar? The Hebrew is going on the davar.
Yeah. What do you think?
Davar Hebrew. Like with this action, the action of the melech is what's Hebrew, not the food.
So you mean you're answering Gerson? Yeah, no, I hear that. Right? He's saying that that's what Avi's saying, that it's you already have that from the other word. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Anyway, okay. I listen. I don't know. I mean, I hear what Avi's saying is the teretz. You already have that part of the Hebrew, right? Anyways, okay. So let's see. If somebody makes a neder from tfuah, right? So then that's only the chameshes aminim. Everybody agrees that when you say a neder just from tfuah, that's only chameshes aminim. They both agree. When a guy makes a neder from tfuah, it's only also from the 5 minim. So it says pshita, that's pashut. Right? Meaning, it isn't. Why wouldn't they? That's what they hold the klal, even by dagan. So why wouldn't they agree by tfuah? No, somehow the same as tfuah kol mili mashma. Tfuah is mashma anything. So kamash malan delay mashma kol mili. Tfuah is not mashma anything. I don't exactly understand that havamina. I mean, tfuah means grain. Why would you think that tfuah is mashma any type of fruit, vegetable? I don't know, but that's what the Gemara thinks. That you would have thought that tfuah means all sorts of things.
Yeah, doesn't tefillah mean produce?
I thought tefillah was grain. See, the Mephira says that it's talking about the Targum, which we're going to see in the next Gemara. The Targum of tefillah is alalta, which is mashma that it goes up. It gives you the mila, right? So mila was anything, right? So that maybe that's including everything.
That's Taichin, the pasuk the Gemara just brought. The last few words is Richel Tvua Sada, Meiser Akol L'Roiv Yaviv. Tvua Sada is not grain. It says dagan and then Tvua Sada.
What do you say?
Pasuk v'chifreit sadavar, the number of things it brings down. Dagan, tirosh v'yitzor dvash, v'chol tvua sad.
Right.
There, the word tvua bedafka does not mean grain.
Right. So what do you say? It means something else.
It means something else. It means yeah.
Right. Okay. So anyways, that was the havamina. So kamash malon, that it's not. The mother of Yosef who kaparat hadavar hirbu b'nei Yisrael, right? And then so there, this is coming from the end of the pasuk, right? When it says v'chulu, usually the kas is on the end of the pasuk. So meaning it says, because there it says the tvua, right? And then, well, I don't know, but that's what you're saying, Garrison. What you're saying really is Gemara saying now, right? That why can you say that tvua is only the chameshes aminim, right? When the pasuk seems to say that tvua is including everything, right? So amarava tvua lechud, tvua stade lechud. So now they want to saying there's two different types of tvua. There's plain tvua and there's tvua sastade. Tvua sastade is everything, and regular tvua is only the chameshes aminim. Okay, fine. Now we get into an interesting story. Bar Mar Shmuel pocket. Bar Mar Shmuel put in his pocket literally means he commanded, but he put in his tzava the less known placer alfi zuzi l'rava, that they should give 13,000 zuz to Rava for his Yerusha min alalta de Nahar Panya, from the alalta of Nahar Panya. Now again, like we said before, alalta is the targum of tvua. Right? If you look in the Torah, when you look at the Unkelis, you'll see that targum of tvua is alalta. So they told him from alalta, but alalta, like we said, just means something good. It doesn't necessarily have a definition, an exact definition. So Shulcha Rava l'kamei Rav Yosef. So Rava sent a question to Rav Yosef, which means he didn't go to Rav Yosef. He just sent a question there. Alalta heshi mikarya. What do we mean? What does he mean by alalta? When he got a Yerusha of 13,000 zuz from alalta, what is that referring to? That was Rava's kasha to Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef masnisani, it's a Mishna, or some say it's a brisa. It's shovin b'neidim and assur, that both meir and chachamim agree that when you make a neder from tvua, it's only from chameshes aminim, right? So you see that alalta is the taich of tvua. So if that's the case, the targum of tvua is alalta. So it must be that his Yerusha of the 13,000 zuz only comes from the grain. Only the grain he gets, and that's it. Normally Abaya told Rabbi Yosef. Remember, we had a bunch of blot ago. Right? Abaya was Rabbi Yosef's Talmud, right? And he forgot his learning. He was blind. Rabbi Yosef, we're going to see that soon. So Abaya was always asking him kashas, reminding him of things. Normally Abaya, me dummy, can you compare the two cases? The word tvua is mashma chameshes aminim. Alalta, call me limasha, but alalta is mashma anything. So that's what Abaya said back to Rav Yosef. So ahadu lakamei de Rava, they brought it back, they sent back to Rava Abaya's answer, right? Right now the thing is, it doesn't say if Rav Yosef's answer was sent back. Right? Rava sent the question to Rav Yosef. Then Rav Yosef said a teretz, and Abaya said a kas on Rav Yosef. The Gemara doesn't say what happened with that. So I don't know. So l'chayra, they sent back what Abaya said. So adu l'kamei de Rava Omar, and then Rava said, "Hala kami balei." That was not a shaila. The alalta kol mi limashmi. I go with what Abaya said, that alalta means anything. So I never had a question like that. Hadahu divrei. But this was my question. Far bottom was far spinat mai. He owned this Mar Shmuel also owned real estate, and he owned ships. Does that mean he could take the 13,000 zuz from that, or he only gets it from the grains, or from whatever grew from the ground? Me, I'm reading on even the Pachton Lava Lalti. Do we say that since it's normally real estate I think increases, but here the Gemara is saying that real estate decreases and the price of ships decrease. But since it's not an alalta, the real estate and the ships, so that since they decay, he's actually it's something that's going down, so that can't possibly be considered alalta. Even the loyadia alalta, but since we don't know how much it goes down in worth, so maybe it's considered alalta. So that was Rava's shaila. Rava's shaila wasn't that alalta store means tvua. He had an additional question: can alalta mean real estate or ships? So Amru Rabbanon Kamei Rabbi Yosef. The Rabbanon said this to Rabbi Yosef. Amar you clearly didn't need to know the answer of what an alalta is. So why are you asking me the question? Why are you asking me the question? He sent the question to Rabbi Yosef. What is the definition of alalta? That was not his question. He knew what the definition of alalta was. He had a question on top of that. So Rabbi Yosef was not happy with him. So Rabbi Yosef said to him, well, why are you sending me questions that you know the answer to? And Ikbid Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef was makbid. He was not happy with Rava. Right?
See, here it's a shtickle mashma that Rabbi Yosef was masking to Abaya's kasha. Because he wasn't makbid on the fact that he was chaylik on him. He was makbid on the kasha, not the teretz.
Oh, correct. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, but still he was makbid. That why are you asking me questions if you know the answer? Now, of course, and when I was learning this Gemara, right before I learned this Gemara yesterday in Yeshiva Rockaway, a guy comes over to me, a learned fellow, an older fellow, and the guy comes over to me and he asked me a question about lighting menorah chasana. Didn't hear one word I said. He just wanted me to hear what he thought he should do. I told him a little differently. Not that he has to listen to me. But then I finished and I said, why are you coming over? I didn't tell him this. Like, why did the guy come over to me? He's not my learning. He's not even listening to what I say. He's doing his own thing. And then I look at the next line and it's exactly this. So there are people like that, which I tell you.
You had Mamish had Gili Elio.
I'm not.
You
Let him keep his Elio.
had Inyana de Yuma right there.
Let me tell you, let him keep his Elio.
Rabbi, people should stop thinking they're Elio, you know what I mean? And stop asking dumb questions.
I'm sorry to say, okay, a pistol batola. But I was reading one of these anti-technology papers they put out in the stores today. I don't know why I picked it up. So a kid, the story was that a kid in Monroe was standing outside without a coat. So a guy came over to him and says, "Where's your coat?" He says, "I can't afford it." He brings him into the clothing store. And he goes in the clothing store and get this kid a coat, get this kid jackets and everything, and he paid and he disappeared. So the store owner said maybe it's Elio Anovi, right? The kid says can't be Elio Anovi. He had a smartphone. that was the story.
If it was by Gibbers, they wouldn't let him in the town. They wouldn't let him.
Was that a real story? Is that a real story that was in like a printed newspaper?
Yes, there's a pile of these papers sitting in the stores. Yes.
Did he disappeared before he paid, or he disappeared after he paid?
I don't know. Anyway.
Can he get the insurance money?
No. Anyway, so Rabbi Yosef was upset at Rava. So Soma Rava heard that Rabbi Yosef was upset because why are you asking me questions if you know the answer? So he came to him on Erev Yom Kippur, right? Because that's the day you're supposed to ask for two from people. So Rava came and he found the shamis who was pouring him a cup of wine. Give it to me that I should pour for him. Again, Rabbi Yosef was blind, so he didn't know who was pouring him the wine. So he said, "Give me the wine, let me pour for him." Yavle, so he gave it to him. And mazig means literally mixed. It doesn't just mean pour. He mixed the wine because their wine had to be diluted. Shikashasi Amar, when Rabbi Yosef drank it, he said, "Hadin mizga dami lemizga the Rava breder of Yosef Archama." The way this wine is mixed, that's the way Rava bar Rabbi Yosef Archama mixes it. Right? So, meaning he had a different way of mixing it than everybody else. So Rabbi Yosef's taste was so sensitive to the wine, he was able to realize that this was mixed by Rava Bereder Yosef Achama. But he obviously didn't know that he was the one that did it. Right? The what do you call it? The Meir says he did one part wine to 3 parts water. Right? That's the way he did it. When others did it 1, I think, to 2 parts. Yeah. Anyway, so So now Amar Lei, who knew? So Rava answered him, that's me. That's me. I'm here. So Amar Lei, so it's a very interesting thing because he came to ask him for tshuva. He didn't ask him for tshuva. So Amar Lei, Rabbi Yosef said to him, Loi say sivakara, don't sit down. Right? Kara really means feet. So meaning don't sit down on your feet is the literal way to translate it. But he said basically means don't sit down. Until you tell me how to explain this pasuk. My dictiv, what does it mean that it says in the pasuk? Right, these are when the Klal Yisrael was traveling. So it says they went from the midbar to Matana, and then to Nachliel, and then to Bamai. So what's the Torah telling us with that? Amalei. So Rava said, Kivan sha'isa adam esasui k'midbar. If a person makes himself like a midbar, which is just open to anything, so who mufkar lakol, he makes himself hefker to everything, and so the Ran says, meaning that he teaches Torah for free to anybody. Torah nitna loy b'matana, then the Torah gets given to him as a present. Shenemar midbar matana. If you go from being a midbar, you go to matana. Right? This is if this is not like a chassidish way of touching up a pasuk, then I don't know what is. Right? He's taking, these are just names of cities, and he's taking it and making a whole vart out of it. So for me, midbar matana, that's what it means. If you make yourself hefker, you'll get Torah as a matana. The kibbutz nitna loy b'matana, and when he gets it as a matana, nachloi el, then it becomes, that's nachli el. It becomes an inheritance, but I'm not exactly sure what that means. That what's more inheritance than a matana? That a mamish becomes part of him? It must be.
No, I think they are you're inheriting the chaylik of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Nachalu el, they inherit kel.
Mamish like an inheritance, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's strong. You're saying an inheritance is stronger than a matana.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
All right. Okay.
Matana, you heard of Indian giving, right? So you give it, take it back to the Indian giver. But a nachala, that's it.
No backsies. No backsies. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, even in Taich, there's another way also. Even in Taich, a matana is something you give to someone else to use. A nachala is something you give to someone to pass down as an heirloom.
Yeah.
It's more solid. It's more, I don't know what the word is.
Netzchis.
Yeah.
I hear.
Except for my nachla, I inherit my father's debts.
Yeah, it's a particular problem. Yeah. So the kibbutz to nachlu kel, and once you get a nachal from Hashem, oilu l'gedula, then you're going to become great. Shenemar u'menachliel bamos. Right? And from nachliel, you're going to come to bamos. Bamos means like a bama, which is something chassid. But if you lift yourself up, meaning you become bal gaavah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashpilai, Hashem is going to knock you down. Shenemar u'bamos, hey guy. From bamos you go to hey like gay, like the gate of it, right? And you're going to go down in the ground. They're gonna how do they say gay in their airs, right? That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna knock them down into the ground. And when he looks out on the over the yeshimain, it's like also like a midbar. But if he does tshuva on his gaavah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu magbi, Hashem will lift him up. So now the Ran and the Mefer both say, what was the deal here? What was Rabbi Yosef telling Rava? That was the point. He was getting Rava. He didn't want Rava to be about gaavah. He was telling Rava that you could be all in Torah, etc., but if you're gonna have gaavah, then you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna lose it. Now, for some reason, Rabbi Yosef, I don't know why was it gaavah what Rava did. I don't clearly understand. All Rava did was he asked the question in a wrong way, but he was not saying, what was gaavah about it? If anything, he asked the question, right? He could have not asked the question and decided on his own. That to me would sound like gaavah.
Could
Also,
be his second
right?
response. His second response was, "Nah, that I know. I just meant this."
You think that's what it is?
It could sound
Okay.
like that.
Maybe it's how
But
he
he, but
came
Rav
to
Yosef,
ask. He came to ask Mechila, but he did it in such a backwards way. He went to pour the drink instead of the shamash pouring the drink. He didn't say who he is. You know,
yeah, he never
Yosef had to
never even asked.
figure it out. Oh, it's Rava's here because
Oh,
the way you mix the drink. You could have come and just said, "Hi, I'm here," and I'm Rava, and Rava's and I'm Bet Mechila from you, but he didn't do that. He didn't
It
do
could
that.
be that's the Bekavadika way of what Rav Yosef was telling him. The last part of the pasuk is if you mashpil yourself, because Baruch Hu raises you up. Saying Rava was mashpil himself to pour the drink, so he's showing that Rav Yosef's greater. So I can pull you back up too.
here maybe. Okay, I don't know. That's better stuff than anything I came up with. What you guys have. So
all I know is
okay,
if
either way.
Yaakov, he knew Pshat in the Psukim and he asked Rava to do it. So isn't he doing the same thing Rava did to him?
I don't know because
I'm
Rava said
joking.
the shot. No, I'm saying
No,
Rava
but
is the one that said,
he asked Rava. The Ron says he asked Rava in order for him to touch up the Psukim and to make him more humble. But he obviously knew Pshat. Otherwise, he wouldn't be leading him with what's Pshat in these Psukim. He knew Pshat in the Psukim.
I guess. So he's
Otherwise,
trying to show.
isn't that what he's trying to do? He's asking what's Pshat in these Psukim.
Right.
LMI was obvious to both of them. That's
Of course.
what he
So
was trying
Rava
to
did the
do.
same thing. So you're asking questions that you know the answer to also.
No, he's not asking a Shiloh. Rava asked a Shiloh.
You're saying
That's a halacha question. This is Pshat in the pasuk
Yeah.
that they both knew that each other knew.
Yeah.
The purpose was that
All
Rava
right.
would touch.
Lamaisa he didn't answer Rava at the end of the day.
He did not, right? And he didn't ask for a Basila either.
Right. Everyone's left alone.
Yeah. But the muster, okay, since we didn't learn muster tonight, the muster from this is very obvious, right? It doesn't need to be said. But the bottom line is if you do the right thing, the Torah is given as a matana, right? The Reb Shlomo Feivel used to say it a lot. The Torah, you're working on the Torah and learning, and learning every night, even though when you don't get it and you forget it. The bottom line is it's a matana. It's a matana. You just have to make it that you're worthy to get that matana, right? Here it is. You would think that a guy is going to become a bigger Talmid Chacham by sitting in a closet and not making himself hefker. And this pasuk is telling you exactly the opposite. Make yourself hefker, and you'll get the Torah b'matana. You'll get the Torah b'matana. Right? You see about a lot of great
Rabbi
people.
used to say that's the touch in the Mishnah. Yagati or matzasi. Matzasi is not a response to Yagati. Yagati is I worked hard and I made something. Not matzasi.
Right.
I found something. That's pshat. It's masna b'matana.
You told me. I think you told me that once. Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
you see by Gedolim. They're running around. They're running this, that. I mean, a lot of Gedolim. You see, like when did these guys have When did they have time to learn? Right, but that's what it is. Either way. So if the Hashem will pick him up, meaning you can still do tshuva. Remember, kol gay nase. Anything that was down, that was low, can be picked up. Okay, so that's the end of that story. Fine. Tanya, we learned in the Brisa. Hanoidim in a dagan. I'm talking about base now on the top line. Tanya, hanoidim in a dagan. Assur afapula mitzri yove is assur. If somebody makes a neder from dagan, he's assur even with pula mitzri that's yove, dry Egyptian bean. Putter belach. Putter with the moist ones, with the wet ones. Putter ba'ayres, and he's also allowed to be rice is also allowed. Why? Because rice, the fire doesn't get piled up. And then he's also allowed bechilka, betargis, ubetisni. The Ran says chilka, it's wheat that gets chopped into 2 pieces, and targis is if it gets chopped into 3 pieces, and tisni is if it gets chopped into 4 pieces. So all those things are not included in the neder. Right, fine. Then anoider mina peiros hashana. A guy makes a neder from peiros. What is the literal translation is peiros of the year. So what does that mean? Also, b'chol peres hasan, he's also with all fruits of the year. Umutter b'gediyim, but he's a mutter in goats that were born that year. Ubetlayim, and sheep or lambs. Ubecholav, milk, beitzim, eggs. Geizlos is birds. Chickens. Vim Omar Gidul. So again, if he says peres hasana, it means dafka fruits and vegetables, but it doesn't mean animals, which also grow. Right? Vim Omar Gidul Shana halai. But if he says anything that grew this year is on me, then it's also makulam. Then anything that grew that year is also. Anoidim in a peres haaretz. Then if he says a neder from peres haaretz, and now this we're going to learn halacha here now that many people are not aware of, right? But anoidim in peres haaretz, if somebody makes a neder from fruits of the earth, also b'chol peres haaretz, he's also with anything that grows from the ground. But mutter b'kmeyan upitrios, but he's allowed to eat truffles and pitrios is mushrooms. Right? But so again, if he says noidim in peres haaretz, he's mutter with mushrooms. Vim Omar gidule karka alai, but if he says gidule karka, it's assur b'kul and it's assur in all of them. So Ramina, so the Gemara again, if he says min peres haaretz, he's mutter to have mushrooms. If he says gidule karka, things that grow from the ground, he can't have mushrooms. So Gemara says Ramina, I'll ask you a kasha, I'll double say gidule min haaretz on something that doesn't grow from the ground. As we know, anything that doesn't grow from the ground, you make a sahakol, right? Tanya al hamelach v'al zemis on salt and on zemis is salt water, kamein and on truffles or pitrios and mushrooms. You make sahakol because they don't grow from the ground. Right? People are not aware. This is the way we paskin. Right, that on the mushrooms you don't make hadoma on mushrooms. You make shahakol on mushrooms. Right, but the reason for that is because it grows from the air. It's a fungus. Right, so
I think it's the same way you say athlete's foot in Hebrew.
Is it? You say you say it?
I think that's I think it's the same word.
Yeah, I once asked him.
Modern.
I once asked I asked my mother to pass me down the fungus salad. She was not happy with me. Right? But yeah. So there's a funny story with my father. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Does it make a difference if that's not actually how they grow?
What do you mean?
Through the air, they don't just spontaneously combust into a fungus.
Oh, so we're gonna see. So that's the Gemara's kasha. Is it? If he says Gedule Karka, it's also even in mushrooms, which means that mushrooms something out of karka.
I'm just talking about the mitzias of how mushrooms grow and what bracha you make on them.
Gemara was going to say.
Yeah, let's wait for the Gemara's teretz. But the Gemara right now is saying that Gedule Karka, you're also even in mushrooms. Oh, but we just said that mushrooms don't grow from the ground, and because you don't make a hadama. They grow from the ground, but their nutrition comes from the air, not from the ground. I think that's what you're saying, Simon. Meaning it needs the ground in order to grow, but the nutrients are not coming from the ground. The nutrients that make the mushroom grow are not coming from the ground. That's coming from the air. It says that something. It says, and it's something that doesn't grow from the ground. So how are you saying that they do grow from the ground? So the Gemara answers, Tani al davar she'ein yoinik min haaretz. We're saying that it's something that it doesn't get its nutrition from the ground, right? It needs the ground to grow, right? You don't have mushrooms floating around in thin air, right? That's what you're saying, Simon, right? Mushrooms are not, you don't get hit in the head by a mushroom growing. You need to have ground in order for it to grow, but the nutrients come from the ground, from the air, right? And that's why you only make a sahakol on mushroom. Yeah.
I understand those magic mushrooms that are growing in the cow pies. They don't smell, they don't taste like the cow pie because they get the sustenance from the air.
I never tried it, Rachamim. I'm
Thanks
sorry
for
to say.
Thanks for sharing.
I mean, Rachamim, in these parts, we have donuts on Hanukkah.
Can I just be that guy again? It's not how it works.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. It's,
I don't know.
it needs something to grow in. That's all. It needs something to grow in.
And it needs water just like everything else, but mushrooms are this massive mycelium thing underneath the ground. That's how it grows. It takes the nutrients from the earth.
I don't know. So then, I don't know. You'll have to work that out with the Gemara.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Please do. I'm sure there's somebody's got something on it. I was going to say that my father, I remember when he went to the Gulf War, he went to Eretz Yisrael, and they had the Patriot missiles back then. Patriot missiles to intercept the Scuds. And he's reading the paper, and it says they keep shooting Patriots at the Scuds. And he's thinking, what? They're shooting mushrooms at the. He didn't understand. He said for a few days he didn't understand they're shooting the Israelis. Israelis are crazy, so they're shooting mushrooms at a thing. But then he realized that it's a Patriot, not mushrooms. Okay. Anyway, so that's.
Well, he thought it was like the Meister of Avraham Avinu and the Melech Mitzrayim. They gave him the dirt, and he threw it. He threw the dirt and turned it into arrows.
And it came into arrows. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the halach of the night that mushrooms, even when they're cooked, are still shahakol. Fine. Maybe in South Bend they're not. We'll have to find that out. Yeah. But anyway. Okay, Zog the Mishna. Neder min aksus. Somebody makes a neder from clothing. Mutter besak. He's allowed to have sackcloth. Uba urea. Urea literally means a sheet. Uba chamila. It doesn't really. There's all types of clothing. That's the way the Ran says it. So again, if he makes a neder on clothing, he's allowed to have sackcloth and a sheet and there's kamila. Omar koinem semer oila alai. If he says I'm making a neder or a koinem that I'm not pulling wool on me, he's allowed to cover himself with the when the wool comes off the animal, the shearings of the wool, because it's not yet again. When we get into the whole bit of neder, it's all totally in what his kavanah was. What was his kavanah when he said wool? The wool doesn't mean fresh wool right off the sheet. It's referring to a wool suit or a wool coat or wool sweater. Fine, hapishtan, flax, oila alai. So again, that's also kainam that he's saying pishtan on me. Mutter l'chasas ba'anitze pishtan. He can cover himself with stalks, right? Rabbi Yehuda is not disagreeing here. He's just saying it's all depending on what's going on with the neder. Meaning, not only do you have to know what a guy means when he makes the neder, what the accepted language is, you also have to know what was he doing at the time he made the neder. It's very interesting. Ton v'hiziyah. The guy's ton if he's carrying and he's sweating. And he had what do you call it? BO. He had a lot of body odor, right? So Amar, because of it, I'm making a neder that I'm not putting linen, flax, and wool on me. So what did he mean by that? So Rabbi Yehuda is saying in that case, since he was schwitzing from carrying the load, mutter l'chasa, it's mutter for him to use it as clothing, but also allows to lachar, but he just can't put it behind him to carry it. Because when he made that neder, clearly he meant he doesn't want semer and the piston on him carrying it. It didn't mean that he's not going to use it for clothing.
Right? Tiago, that's very interesting, no? Because like we usually say the neder goes but basar lashon b'nei adam, meaning you're mevatel das eitel kol b'nei adam when it comes to normal nedarim. But here we're saying, look at the context. Don't just say what's the normal. Meaning we're taking into account much more than what normal people say it as.
What he was saying more?
No, meaning normally if a person makes a neder and he says, "Well, I meant this," but lashon b'nei adam is not that way. We don't go basar what he says he meant. We say, "Well, lashon b'nei adam is this." That's what the neder is assuring you on. Correct.
Correct.
You have to be mevatel das eitel kol b'nei adam. If the lashon b'nei adam is a certain way, you can't say I meant this. But here we say no. Context matters. it meaning we'll change what normally if somebody says ksus, he means clothing. He doesn't mean the stuff that I'm carrying. He means clothing, and it's everything and all clothing comes assur. But here we say no. We're going to take a step back on the normal lashon b'nei adam and say context matters, meaning we're adding to what we normally say his lashon means.
Right. You're right. So you're saying there's another factor to take in.
It's more than just lashon b'nei adam. It's specific to the person. It's subjective.
Correct. That's exactly Rabbi Yehuda said it. So you have to know exactly what's going on.
And is a Tanakh being chaylik on him when they say a neder and ksus assur in clothing?
It does. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. But I can't.
Why wouldn't you say that we go akalashim b'nei adam when it's a
That's
shayla?
kind of what I'm asking.
We don't know what it
like
means.
Saying that.
Because it's obvious that he doesn't mean that. There's no shayla here. When it's a shayla, we go akalashim b'nei adam. When there's no shayla, why would we go akalashim b'nei adam? We know everyone knows what he means.
I don't know. I mean, let's say lashon b'nei adam. You're saying let's say lashon b'nei adam says one thing, and what he's doing is saying a different thing.
Well, right? No, I'm saying that in this situation, that's what lashon b'nei adam is.
Okay,
everyone would say that.
Well, let's wait till the end of the Gemara, so then late, and then we could, because the Gemara is going to repeat this case. So Dr. Gemara, Tanya, somebody makes a neder from clothing, mutter b'sak u'b'yiriya u'b'chamila. He's allowed to have sackcloth, teeth, chamila, ba'asr b'punda u'b'piskiya. Punda is some sort of belt, a belt that's hollow, and the piskiya is a wide belt. U'b'skurtiya u'b'katavliya. A kasturti is a leather shirt, and a katavlia is also. They're both types of leather things. Anpilia is some sort of what do you call it? Some sort of shoe. These are all leather things, right? And plania, and pants, the koiva and hat. So my skurti, what is a skurti? It's some sort of shirt that's made out of leather. Fine. Tanya, so we learned in the price along the same line, we have a din in Hilchos Shabbos. On Shabbos, you're allowed to go out with clothing made out of sackcloth, thick clothing, or with gaavah, and with thick siktug, which is some sort of, seems like it's a thicker sackcloth. I guess they had all sorts of sackcloth back then. That's because of rain. You could use all these things as raincoats, and that's not considered carrying on Shabbos when you're not in an eruv, because that's part of. Because that's considered clothing. But you can't go out with a box on your head and go out in the rain. That's also a type of a bigger box. You can't go with a mat because of kshayim. We can't go out because of the rain, because those things are not normal articles of clothing. Then you get into that whole issue with, can you put the garbage bag or the shopping bag on your hat on Shabbos or not? So you're protecting the person, you're protecting the clothing, whatever it is. So the harayim, but shepherds, Yaitz B'Sakim could go out with sackcloth on Shabbos. And not only can they go out with it, any person, but the Chachamim, we're only talking about the people that normally went out with it, which is the rayim. But anybody could go out with that. It seems like sackcloth was a normal thing to wear, so that you will be allowed. Fine. So going back to Rabbi Yehuda says you have to judge each situation. So everything is lefid the neder. The Tanya, we learned in the Ketzad Omer Rabbi Yehuda kol lefid neder. What is an example of Rabbi Yehuda saying that it all depends on what type of neder he's making? So let's say he's wearing wool, but it's a pain for him. It doesn't, not the word sar with an ayin. It's similar, but it's causing him stress. I don't know if stress is the right word to touch it, but it's bothering him. Then he said, you mean the guy comes in a wool suit and he says, I'm making a neder. I'm making a neder, no wool. So then also little boy, then he can't wear wool because that's what he meant. But he'd be allowed to carry wool because his neder was clearly aimed at clothing. But the same case in the Mishna, if he was carrying pishton and he was sweating, I'm making a neder that pishton goes on me. Then that's mutter him to wear it, and he can't carry it because clearly what he meant is that he's not going to be carrying pishton. He's not. But he is allowed to wear it. So it's all totally and what the kavanah was from the fellow. Okay, we'll stop over here, and everybody should have themselves lifting of Hanukkah and a good night. And I again apologize for being late.
Good night. Yeah. Good night.
Okay. Have a good night, Simon. Yeah, new Akiva and Gerson. What do you want to find out now about?
No, it's Yaakov. You have to be involved with Talmud Torah now at this point.
What does that mean?
Don't you always say when you buy a chasana you have to be involved with Talmud Torah?
That's true, but I don't think they started the dancing yet.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
And what was going on? What was going on till now?
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know.
I mentioned to the guys, Tzvi Yaakov, I mentioned to the guys about Rabbi Yossi Galili.
Yeah.
And
well, I wanted to say something like that. I talked to Christ. All right. Yeah, shoot, I forgot. Yeah.
So I was Matar, it said Yossi Galili, and he said he used to eat whatever turkey with milchigs or chicken oifas with chickens with dairy. So over there it was only lagabi basav cholov losavashal gedibi cholov imai that he darshan that. Otherwise, but the Lamaisa he would still call chicken and turkey basar. So if a person made a neder basar, he would since he's not brought over here, he would also hold that basar, but not basar that you'd be chayav for basar v'cholov. But that's I think it was a good question to ask, a better answer to give.
I hear.
Yeah.
Problem.
Saying it's connected to the end of the Gemara. You're saying that when a person says basar, it depends what the context is. If he's talking about hilchos taruvis, then obviously it means as opposed to cholov. So eifus would not be included. If he's sending his son to the store to get basar, then it could be anything.
Yeah. And then you could include chicken, yeah, right, and turkey.
Yeah. It's the end of the Gemara also. Our daf, not just yesterday's.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing because like for mikvah, so really it seems like the thing that a woman on the day of the mikvah shouldn't eat meat, right? But then we put chicken in there. But what about fish? Fish you could have, right? So you see there that it's not, but there it's really telling what gets stuck in the teeth, which is really also part of the whole 6 hours thing.
The basa dayan ben shinayim, that pasuk. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you feel that
that's why they say pineapple and mango also, no?
What do you say?
That's why they say pineapple and mango also she shouldn't eat. Oh, popcorn, things like that. They always get stuck between the teeth.
Right.
So men can jump in the lake, though.
Well, that's the point. She can't jump in the lake after that.
So Yaakov, we mentioned one other thing, B'nei Chanukah, has 2 openings. That you have to light on the other opening also because of chashad. I said you only need 1 candle over that one. Let's just take it off of chashad. And you don't make a bracha on it. It's just take it off a chashad. So you don't need mahadran. You don't need mahadran. You just need ner yishubeso to take it off a chashad. Mashen can, where you're actually getting the mitzvah. So you had that here up in the Woodburn.
Why?
Why?
more than any other place.
Because let's say I went last night to my son's house, so I lit one candle over here, so there shouldn't be a chashad. There's somebody goes by Glanstein's house and he says, "Well, it's a shegitz. He didn't light his candles," you know. But yeah, they see one candle. They say, "Okay, he lit. He's such a not. He's not so from. He didn't do a mahadran, you know." But that's only to take away chashad, not to be mekayim the mitzvah. It's the way to take away the chashad. So therefore, I don't need to be mahadran to take away the chashad. I just have to light a single candle. Yeah. What do you say?
I don't know.
I was wondering before when you said.
You go ahead.
No, I was wondering before at the beginning, before you came on, when he originally asked it. Would we say? I mean, it could be that once upon a time you wouldn't need to do the mahadran and the mahadran to remove from kashad because people did that, just near Ishu Besa. But today, when everyone's been makabel to do mahadran and mahadran, would that change the kashad? Just lighting one candle?
It's the same Gemaras that says Ner Yishu Beso. A blot later says the house has two openings. So you're gonna tell me that the Gemara was put together, 1,000 years later or 100 years different?
No. Yeah, because today everyone does the mahadran and mahadran. There's no one that doesn't except the Sfardim.
Well, how would we know that from the Gemara that everybody does it this way? We don't.
You don't. That's the thing.
Right,
I'm just asking. Maybe today. I'm just asking your shaila a different way. Maybe today it's different because everyone was mekabelit. So on the 8th night of Hanukkah, you see one light. There's something wrong. Although I don't know that there's a chashad. I see the other side. Your side too.
Maybe if I lit the candle on top of my car, that would be also. I would take it away also.
You see, that's just to remove a chashad of the Lubavitch.
my two of my sons drove from New York down to California, so they realized it was like a week before Hanukkah or sometime a little bit before Hanukkah, and they realized that they should have made a deal with Chabad to put a menorah on top of their car on their truck, and then when they're going, they get the deal going all the way over there. But yeah,